You are standing in dust so fine it coats your tongue. Every breath tastes like stone and ash. The sun has only just cleared the ridge, but the heat is already inside your armour, trapped there, crawling across your skin like something alive. Bronze does not breathe. It cooks. Ahead of you, the plain opens wide and flat, an obscene amount of space. Too much space. The kind that kills slow men. You don't see faces at first. You see motion, horses shifting, fabric snapping, a shimmer where metal catches the light and throws it back at your eyes until they ache. Somewhere down there beyond the river is an army large enough to erase you by accident. You are not in formation. That is the first wrong thing. Shields are stacked. Men are still walking, still adjusting straps, still swallowing panic like dry bread. The second wrong thing is the sound. Not shouting. Laughter. It carries up the slope in loose waves. Persian laughter. They've seen you. They know. An arrow cracks into the ground 10 paces away, the sound sharp as bone snapping. Another follows, then another. No order has been given, no horns, no drums, just the growing awareness that the sky is starting to move. Down! Someone says it. Not loudly, not bravely, just practical. You drop to one knee and bring your shield up, edge pressed into the dirt. The first volley hits like hail. Bronze rings, wood splinters. A man to your left screams once and goes silent, face down, an arrow buried in the soft place behind his knee. Blood pools fast there, darker than you expect. You wait for the command to advance. It doesn't come. Instead, the arrows keep coming. Thousands of them. They fall in sheets, a mechanical rhythm, the sound of a vast animal breathing. This is not chaos, this is procedure. You understand that with a strange clarity. Someone far away is counting time. Your neck cramps from holding the shield. Sweat runs into your eyes. You blink it away and see a helot crouched behind you, younger than you, no armour worth naming, clutching a wicker shield already cracked through. He's shaking. His lips are blue. He is not looking at the enemy. He's looking at you, like you might explain why this is happening. You can't. Another arrow punches through the shield rim and lodges in the dirt between your feet. Close enough that you feel it pass. Close enough that your body reacts before your mind does. Muscles flinching, heart slamming. You imagine it entering your throat. You imagine the warmth, the sudden wetness, the useless clawing at air. Somewhere behind the line, an animal bleats. A goat. You know what that means. Everyone does. The priest is working. You hate him for it. You hate the gods even more. You have been trained to wait, to hold, to obey, but nothing in that training prepared you for this kind of waiting. This is not courage. This is restraint under slaughter. A man collapses onto his back a few paces ahead of you, eyes wide, staring at the sky as if it has personally betrayed him. An arrow sticks out of his groin. He's trying not to scream. He fails. The arrows thin, then surge again. The Persians have stepped closer. You can hear them now, they're shouting clearer, sharper. They're inside throwing distance. They know you are pinned. They know you are bleeding and not moving. Still no order. The goat dies. You smell it. Warm blood, iron, and rot. The priest is taking his time. He always does. You imagine his hands, slick, methodical, turning organs that decide whether you live another minute. A Spartan near the front. Caliades, they call him. Flawless in a way that feels unfair, staggers backward, shield slipping. An arrow has found his side. It doesn't look fatal, it will be. They always are. 2 men drag him away. He is pale already, furious more than afraid, teeth bared as if he wants to bite the world for daring to take him before he can strike back. Another volley. The helot behind you screams and falls forward. An arrow has gone through his throat. The sound he makes as he dies is wet and small. You don't turn. You can't afford to turn. The second goat bleats. This is where panic starts to spread. Not loud, not obvious, but real. It moves through the line in micro-adjustments. A foot shifting, a shield lifting too high, a man breathing too fast. You feel it in your own chest, the urge to do something, anything, even something stupid just to stop being a target. On the flank, the Tegeans begin to murmur. You hear it through the armour, through the ground. They are close to breaking, you understand why. If they charge, they die fast. If they stay, they die slow. There is no good choice, only orders. Pausanias stands somewhere behind you. You can't see him, but you feel his presence like a weight. He's waiting for permission from a universe that has been killing you for an hour. You imagine his face, set, controlled, maybe terrified, maybe empty. You don't know which is worse. The Persians advance again. You can see their eyes now. They are not monsters. They are men doing a job. Some of them look impressed. Some look bored. A few look eager. The third goat screams. The arrows stop. For half a heartbeat there is silence, not peace, suspension. Like the moment before a wave breaks. You hear your own breath, ragged and loud inside your helmet. You taste blood where you've bitten your tongue without noticing. Then Pausanias stands. He does not shout. He does not explain. He raises his spear. That is all it takes. The line surges forward as one body, a single violent decision made all at once. The weighting snaps. Your legs drive. Your shield slams into the man ahead of you. You are moving downhill now, momentum building, fear converting into something harder, sharper. The arrows resume, but too late. The distance is closing too fast. You crash into the wicker wall. It explodes. Wood shatters. Bodies collide. The sound is not metal on metal. It is impact. It is meat and bone failing under weight. A Persian grabs your spear with bare hands, screaming, trying to wrench it away. You drive it forward anyway. It goes through his chest like cloth. You don't feel it. You don't feel anything except forward. This is not a duel. This is physics. Mass beats courage. Armor beats skin. The line keeps pushing step by step, over bodies that are already cooling. You slip. You recover. You stab again. A face fills your vision. Then it is gone. Somewhere to your right, a white horse screams. The battle condenses around it. You don't know why yet, but you feel it. The way the pressure shifts. The way men start angling towards something important. Orders are shouted and lost. You hear a name passed forward like a signal. Mardonius. You push harder. Everyone does. The air is dust and blood now, thick enough to chew. You're exhausted. You're alive. The two things have never felt so close together. Ahead, the white horse rears. A man in fine armor is fighting from its back, striking down anyone foolish enough to reach him. He looks unreal, like something painted, untouched by the chaos around him. For a moment you almost admire him. Then he falls. You don't see how. You just see the horse empty, the space where the man was, the sudden absence that sucks the strength out of the enemy like air from a lung. The Persian line wavers. Then it breaks. They run. You chase. By the time you reach the stockade, your arms feel like they belong to someone else. The walls loom. The Athenians are there now, tearing wood apart with a fury that matches yours. The breach opens, you go in. What happens inside is not war, it is release. When it is over, you stand ankle deep in mud that was once men, staring at nothing, waiting for something to tell you it mattered. Nothing does. The sun keeps burning, the flies arrive, you're still alive. You don't know yet what that will cost. You wake with your mouth open, tongue swollen, the taste of copper still there. For a second you don't know where you are. Then you feel it. The stiffness in your hands, fingers locked around a grip that isn't there anymore. You have slept sitting upright, back against a shield wall, knees pulled in, armor never removed. No one took their armor off, not after yesterday. The plain is quiet in a way that feels wrong, not peaceful, emptied. The Persians are gone from the open ground, pulled back behind the wooden stockade, but the smell remains. Sweat, dung, blood already turning sweet under the sun. Flies hover in black clouds over the places where men fell thickest. You step around a body without looking down. You already know what you'd see. Water is the first thought. It always is. Your throat burns. The skin around your lips is split, crusted. When you swallow, it feels like dragging stone down stone. The Gargaphia spring is behind you now, ruined, still churned into mud by hooves. Men line up anyway, scooping sludge through clenched teeth, gagging, drinking, because not drinking is worse. You drink. You regret it. You drink again. Somewhere along the line, an order moves, not shouted, passed shoulder to shoulder. The Persians are fortifying. You can hear it now if you listen. Wood on wood, hammering. the low murmur of thousands of men trying to make themselves safe. You picture them working with the same efficiency they used to kill you yesterday. You picture their hands blistered, their eyes hollowed by the same thirst. There is no rest coming. You know that. Everyone does. Victory is not a pause, it is a direction. The Athenians arrive from the left, dust-caked, eyes bright with a different kind of exhaustion. They fought their own fight while you were locked in yours, against Greeks who chose the other side, men who spoke the same language, prayed to the same gods. You don't envy them that. You don't say anything when they take position near the stockade. You are glad they're here. You need them. No one says that either. The walls are higher than they looked from a distance. Timber lashed tight, towers rising above, Persian archers already visible behind wicker screens. They've learned. They won't stand in the open again. You feel the weight of your spear and understand its limits. This is not what you were built for. The first arrows come down almost lazily, testing. One skitters off the top of your shield and spins away. Another punches into the dirt at your feet. You don't flinch. You're past flinching. Your body has adjusted to the idea that it may not survive the day. The Athenians begin their work. They don't rush. They don't scream. They probe the wall, looking for weakness, for rot, for bad joins. You watch them wedge pry bars into seams, hack at supports, back off when arrows thicken. It is careful, professional. You realize, watching them, that survival has more than one shape. A section of wall groans, not loud, just enough. The sound carries. Everyone hears it. The Persians hear it too. Their response is immediate. Arrows thicken into a solid thing, a curtain you can almost touch. A man beside you takes one through the cheek. He doesn't fall. He just sits down slowly, as if embarrassed, blood pouring through his fingers. The wall gives way with a sound like a tree splitting in a storm. No order. None is needed. You surge forward with the rest, drawn into the breach by force and instinct. The space inside is wrong. Too tight. Too many bodies. Too much heat. The ground is trampled into paste. You slip and catch yourself on a corpse that isn't dead yet. He grabs your ankle weakly. You step on his wrist and move on. This is not a fight. It is compression. Men pack together, unable to swing properly, stabbing where they can, screaming because there is no room for anything else. The Persians are trying to form a line, but there is no line to form. They are being fed into the gap faster than they can think. You use your shield more than your spear. Bash. Step. Bash again. A man's face caves under the rim. Another falls underfoot. Someone screams your city's name behind you. Someone else screams theirs. It all blends. You are aware, distantly, that no one is taking prisoners. Not because of orders, because stopping to take a prisoner would get you killed, because mercy requires space and time, and there is none of either. At some point your spear snaps. You don't remember when. You draw your sword and it feels absurdly small, like a tool meant for something delicate. You use it anyway. Throat, belly, under the arm where armour ends. You learn the shapes of bodies by touch alone. The Persians begin to fold inward, retreating deeper into their own camp, climbing over each other, slipping on blood. The walls that were meant to protect them now trap them. You see it in their eyes when they realize. The understanding lands like a blow. When the last resistance collapses, it doesn't end cleanly. It just thins. Screams become individual again. You kill a man who has dropped his weapon because his hands are empty and reaching. You kill another who is already wounded because he is still moving. You do not think about it while it happens. Thinking would slow you down. Eventually there is no one left in front of you. You stand there, chest heaving, sword hanging from your hand, unsure what to do next. Your ears ring. The world feels distant, flattened, like you're seeing it through water. Around you, men wander the camp in a daze, stepping over bodies, staring at things they have never seen before. The tents are obscene. Silk, gold, furniture carved and inlaid, food laid out half prepared, rotting in the heat. You see a table overturned, silver dishes scattered, a loaf of bread soaked dark with blood. The contrast hits you harder than the fighting did. This is what they brought with them. This is what they lived like while you drank mud. Pausanias walks through it all without expression. He looks smaller now, not because he is diminished, but because the war has caught up to him. He gives an order, and Persian cooks are dragged forward trembling. You don't understand what is happening until you smell it. Spiced meat, fresh bread, wine. The Spartan meal is prepared beside it. Black broth, thin, sour, familiar. You watch Pausanias laugh once short and sharp. You don't join him. Something about the gold, the ease of it, unsettles you. You think of the helot who died behind you yesterday, his throat opened by an arrow meant for you. You think of how none of this would have saved him. By nightfall the killing is done. Fires burn low. Men eat, sleep, stare. You sit with your back against a tent pole, armour finely unbuckled, skin raw beneath. Your hands won't stop shaking now that there is nothing to hold on to. You have won. The word feels wrong in your mouth. Somewhere beyond the hills the world continues. Cities wait to be rebuilt. New wars are already forming in the spaces this one has cleared. You don't know that yet, not fully. But you feel it. The way the ground still seems to vibrate under you, as if the earth remembers what happened here and is not done with you. You close your eyes. Tomorrow you will march again. You think the war is over because the noise has stopped. That is the first lie victory tells you. The days after the killing blur together, thick and slow like blood drying in the sun. You march away from the plain because staying would mean rotting there, body and mind both. The ground behind you is chewed raw, stripped of anything living. No birds circle. Even the flies thin out once there is nothing left to feed on. You don't look back. You don't need to. The smell follows you anyway. Your body begins to fail in quieter ways. The bruises bloom under the skin where armour pressed too long. Your shoulders ache from carrying weight that no longer exists. When you sleep, your hands twitch, fingers closing around ghosts. Men wake shouting, or worse, not shouting at all, eyes open, staring at nothing. No one comments. Everyone understands. Food is better now. Too good. You eat until your stomach cramps because part of you is afraid it will be taken away again. The Athenians joke about it. Bitter humour sharpened by loss. They're already talking about walls, ships, rebuilding. They talk forward. You notice the Spartans don't. They talk sideways, in half-finished sentences, about discipline, about order, about going home. Home. The word lands oddly. You try to picture it. Stone, dust, the smell of sweat and iron. But the image doesn't settle. Plataea has burned something out of you. You're not the same weight you were when you left. You feel denser, heavier, like a blade that's been reforged too many times. Pausanias rides at the front now, more distant than ever. Men still obey him instantly. That hasn't changed. What has changed is the way he looks at things. You catch it sometimes when he thinks no one is watching. His eyes linger on Persian fabric, on gold fittings, on the way power arranges itself when no one is resisting. It makes you uneasy in a way you can't explain. The helots march behind, quieter than before, fewer of them. The ones who remain avoid Spartan eyes now, not out of fear, but calculation. They have seen you bleed. They have seen Persians die by the thousands. They know something about you that they didn't before. You can be killed. Not easily, but eventually. When you reach the coast, the air changes. Salt replaces dust. The horizon opens. Ships sit at anchor, hulls scarred, sails patched. Word moves through the ranks before any herald speaks it. There has been another fight. Across the water, same day, same sun. You listen as it's told piece by piece. The Persian fleet destroyed on the shore. Men burned in their ships. The war ending not with a single blow, but two, far apart, perfectly timed. It feels planned. Too clean. You don't trust it. Celebration tries to happen. It fails. There is cheering, yes, but it is thin, brittle. The men who shout the loudest are the ones who didn't stand under the arrows, who didn't feel the ground shake when the line broke. You drink when offered. You stop before it dulls you completely. You don't want to forget yet. Forgetting feels like betrayal. When you finally turn inland, the land looks smaller than it used to. Villages are half empty. Fields are scorched. People come out to watch you pass, faces tight with relief and something else, expectation. They look at you like you owe them something now, like surviving makes you responsible for the future. Athens rises again in fragments. Blackened stone, broken columns, the smell of old fire still trapped in the cracks. You see Athenians walking among the ruins, touching walls like they might speak back. They do not cry, they are past that. They measure, they plan, they rebuild with anger sharpened into purpose. You realize standing there that the war has not ended, it has simply changed shape. Sparta receives Pausanias with ceremony, too much ceremony, songs, feasts, praise layered thick enough to suffocate. You stand in the crowd, armor cleaned, scars hidden, and feel disconnected from it all. The words bounce off you. Victor, savior, defender. None of them fit. Pausanias accepts it with a strange half-smile. You see it then, clearly. The war did not leave him behind on the plain. It climbed into him. It found a home. Time passes, not cleanly. Stories reach you before facts. Pausanias abroad again. Pausanias dressing differently. Pausanias eating differently. The rumours feel wrong at first, then irritating, then dangerous. You want to dismiss them. You want to believe discipline holds. It always has. Then you see him. Not on campaign, not armoured. Draped in foreign cloth, colours too rich, posture too loose. Surrounded by men who are not Greek. He looks comfortable. Worse, he looks pleased. The distance between the man who raised his spear under arrow fire and the one standing before you is too wide to cross. You feel something like grief, sharp and unwanted. You don't speak. Neither does he. The silence says enough. Whispers harden into accusations, letters, plots, names spoken behind closed doors. The ephors move slowly, carefully. This is Sparta. We do not rush judgment. We also do not forgive easily. When the order comes, it is quiet. No spectacle, no drama. Pausanias runs. You hear about it after. How he fled through familiar streets like a stranger. How he took refuge in the temple, clinging to the gods he once begged for permission to kill. How the doors were sealed stone by stone while the city watched. The detail that stays with you is the first stone. His mother placed it. You imagine her face. Not angry, not cruel, certain. You understand that certainty better than anything else that has happened since Plataea. It is the same certainty that held you in place under the arrows, the same certainty that pushed you forward when the wall broke. Pausanias dies slowly. Of course he does. Men like that always do. They do not go quickly. They fade, starved of the very power they reached for. When his body is pulled from the temple, thin and ruined, you do not look away. There is no ceremony this time. Life resumes. Training, patrols, discipline reasserts itself like a scar tightening. The world moves on. Athens grows loud and bright across the water, rich on tribute and confidence. Sparta remains hard, inward, watchful. Sometimes, at night, you dream of the plain again. Not the fighting, the waiting, the arrows, the moment before the spear was raised. You wake with your heart racing, body braced for impact that never comes. You are alive. You survived the war. You helped end it. That is supposed to mean something. You're still figuring out what. The war leaves you with habits that no longer make sense. You still wake before dawn. You still listen for horns that aren't there. Your body expects orders the way a wound expects pain. When none come, it invents them. Training resumes as if it never stopped. Shields collide, spears bite into practice posts. The rhythm is familiar, comforting in its brutality. Sweat burns your eyes. Muscles scream. You welcome it. Pain you can predict is easier than memory. Sparta tightens itself after Pausanias. Laws are repeated aloud as if speaking them might seal cracks that have already formed. The ephors watch more closely. Men speak less. Discipline sharpens, but it feels defensive now, like armour worn even while sleeping. You notice how often helots are counted. They move differently than before. Not openly defiant, not foolish, just aware. They saw Plataea too. They saw Persian nobles crushed like anyone else. They carried bodies. They finished wounded men. They learned the same lesson you did. Strength has limits. The cryptaea becomes busy. Young men vanish into the countryside at night. Some do not return. The terror that once flowed outward now circulates inward, recycled, stale. You participate because refusing is not an option. Because obedience is easier than thinking. Because thinking leads places you don't want to go. Athens sends envoys. They arrive well-fed, well-dressed, voices smooth with confidence. They talk about unity, about shared victory, about fleets and trade and tribute. You watch their hands while they speak. Soft, uncalloused. They did not push at the stockade wall. They did not wade through the camp afterward. Still, they look at you like equals now. That unsettles you more than Persian arrows ever did. Sparta listens politely. Sparta refuses quietly. The alliance that held under fire begins to fray under sunlight. Old resentments surface. Naval power versus land power. Walls versus discipline. Freedom versus control. No one uses those exact words. They don't have to. You stand guard during one of the councils, unmoving, eyes forward. Inside, voices rise and fall. You catch fragments. Tribute. Protection. Leadership. You feel the shift happening, like a weather change. The enemy is no longer external. It is conceptual, harder to kill. When the Athenians leave, their ships heavy with confidence, you feel a strange, irrational relief. You don't trust them. You don't trust yourself around them either. They remind you too much of what the Persians had. Choice, abundance, the luxury of imagining a future beyond survival. Life narrows again. Patrols, drills, silence. You marry because it is expected. The ceremony is brief. Your wife's hands are steady. She does not ask about the war. That is a gift. You repay it with distance. You don't know how to let her closer without dragging the plane in with you. Children are born. They cry. You flinch every time. Years pass, not many. Enough. Plataea recedes into story, then legend. The details soften. The waiting under arrows becomes bravery. The slaughter becomes necessity. Names are carved into stone. Edges are smoothed. You remember what it actually felt like. Athens grows powerful. Too powerful. Their fleets dominate the sea. Their allies pay whether they want to or not. They call it protection. You hear another word in it. Empire. You think of Mardonius's camp of silk and gold piled high, of confidence hardened into entitlement. The resemblance is uncomfortable. Sparta debates. Sparta hesitates. Sparta prepares. When war comes again, it is slower, colder, more deliberate. No single plane, no decisive day. Just pressure, attrition, waiting. The kind of war that gnaws instead of bites. You recognize it immediately. You've been here before. This time the enemy speaks your language. You fight in fragments now. Raids, marches, standoffs that end without contact. The old surge, the clean release of collision is rare. Instead there is hunger. There is suspicion. There is the constant measuring of allies who might not remain allies for long. You are older, not slow, just heavier. Every piece of armor reminds you of the first time it trapped heat against your skin. Every order echoes another. You obey anyway. Obedience has outlasted everything else. Sometimes, when the nights are quiet, you think of Pausanias. Not the traitor, not the corpse, the man standing under arrows waiting on a sign. You wonder if that moment broke him, or revealed him. You wonder what it did to you. The answer is never clear. One winter, a rumour moves faster than any army. Revolt. Helots. Again. Always. You're sent out before dawn. The cold cuts deeper than Persian steel ever did. You move through villages that smell of smoke and fear. You do what is required. You do not think about Plataea. You think about order. You think about control. Afterward you sit alone and clean your blade. Blood freezes black on iron. You scrape it away methodically. Your hands do not shake any more. That frightens you more than the shaking ever did. The world you saved no longer resembles the one you fought for. Greece is louder now, richer, more divided. The idea of freedom has been split, argued over, weaponized. You hear young men talk about glory. You say nothing. Glory is a word for people who didn't stand where you stood. One evening, watching the sun drop behind the hills, you realize something with dull certainty. Plataea did not end a war. It taught everyone how to survive one. The lesson stuck. You live long enough to see boys trained who have never known Persian arrows, who know the story only as inheritance. You watch them learn discipline without context, obedience without terror, You wonder what will happen when they finally meet an enemy who feels as inevitable as the one you faced. When your body finally begins to fail, it does so without drama. Joints stiffen, breath shortens. The spear feels heavier each season. You're quietly reassigned. Advisory roles, honor without danger. You accept it because refusing would be childish. On your last march, you walk instead of run. The plain is different. Grasses grow where blood soaked deep. Time has done its work. You kneel and touch the earth. It feels ordinary. That, somehow, is the hardest part. You leave knowing the war never really ended. It only learned patience. So did you. Age arrives without ceremony. One morning you lift your shield and feel the delay, the fraction of a second where the arm does not obey immediately. You hide it. Everyone does. Weakness is tolerated only once it becomes undeniable. Your days simplify. Shorter marches, longer pauses. You're listened to now in a way that has nothing to do with wisdom and everything to do with survival. You're a body that lasted. That alone carries weight. Plataea returns in pieces, never whole. Not dreams anymore. Sensations. The smell of wet dust after blood. The sound arrows make when they hit a shield that is already tired. The pressure of men behind you, trusting you not to step back. These memories arrive without warning, settle, then leave. You let them. Fighting them costs too much. Sparta continues. That is its great talent. Kings change. Laws adjust at the margins. Enemies rotate. The structure remains. You once believed that structure was indestructible. Now you understand it is simply very good at absorbing damage. Athens grows, then strains under its own weight. News travels faster now, carried by ships, by merchants, by refugees. You hear about sieges, plagues, desperation behind walls meant to guarantee safety. You think of Plataea again, not the killing, but the waiting, the thirst, the arrogance that believed space and resources made victory inevitable. Empires fail slowly at first. You're asked once, quietly, what Plataea meant. You consider lying. You consider reciting the story as it is told now, clean and purposeful. Instead, you say only that it felt like standing inside a closing door and deciding which side you would be crushed on. The man nods, satisfied or confused, you can't tell. He does not ask for more. Your children grow. They know you as routine, as boundary. You teach them what is required, how to stand, how to endure. You do not teach them how to kill. That will come regardless. You hope they will never need to wait under arrows. You know hope is not a strategy. When your wife dies, it is quiet. No battle, no warning, just absence. You sit beside her body and feel the same helplessness you felt crouched behind your shield, waiting for permission to act. There is no permission this time. There is nothing to do. You endure. Endurance has become instinct. The city honors you eventually. A small thing. A place to sit. A name spoken with respect by men who have never seen war without walls. You accept it without pride. Pride requires belief in meaning. You're no longer certain meaning survives contact with time. On one of your last days of training duty, you watch boys struggle to hold formation. They break too early, charge too soon. Eager for release, you stop them. You make them stand, you make them wait. They hate you for it in that moment. That is fine. Hatred is lighter than regret. Later, alone, you acknowledge the irony. You're teaching the skill that almost killed you. You wonder if Pausanias ever felt that contradiction, standing between discipline and destruction, unsure which one he served. You forgive him, briefly. Then you let it go. Forgiveness, like everything else, has limits. Your body fails the way empires do, not with collapse but accumulation. A fever that lingers, a cough that does not leave. Your breath shortens. You begin to sit more. The ground feels closer. One evening, you're taken back to the plain, not carried, walked, slowly. Others accompany you, respectful, silent. The grasses move in the wind. Insects hum. There is no marker for where the line stood, where the arrows fell, where men decided to live or die. The earth does not remember details, only pressure. You kneel with effort and place your hand on the soil. It is cool, ordinary. The knowledge that nothing remains visible feels like an insult and a mercy at the same time. You breathe it in and feel something settle. You think of the helot behind you, the one whose name you never knew. You think of Calliades, furious even as he died. You think of the Persians, hands bleeding as they grabbed spears they could not stop. You think of Mardonius falling, the sudden silence that followed. None of them are here. Neither are you, really. Only a shape that lasted longer than most. When you're taken home, you sleep deeply for the first time in years. There are no dreams, just darkness. The end comes without drama, a breath that does not fully return, a heaviness that feels familiar, almost welcoming. Those around you notice too late. That is how it should be. If there is a final thought, it is not of glory. It is of balance, of pressure applied and released, of standing when required and moving when allowed, of understanding that survival is not purity and victory is not peace. Plataea was never a moment. It was a condition, one that shaped everything that followed, quietly, relentlessly. You lived inside it, that was enough.